This is Movers and Shakers, where we interview the upcoming generation of Make It Happen multifamily investors to share their story.
Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro. I'm the co-founder of Jake Gino. I'm a multifamily investor, educator, father, mentor, and I am joined by my co-host, Josh Rusin, community director of Jake Gino. Josh, you're looking good again today. How are you doing, bro?
Gino, doing well, my friend. Coming off a big day yesterday, speaking at the BiggerPockets Conference. A lot of value added there. A lot of people were able to expand their mind and share with them a little bit of the power of multifamily. So super excited about that. Gino, what's going on for you?
First and foremost, I want to give a big shout out to BiggerPockets. Now picture this. This is their very first event. They had 1,100 attendees there. 1,100 people went to their first event. I think for them, it was a massive success. Kudos to the team that they have out there and to the culture that they've created. They've created an amazing brand. There was a lot of people there who were just excited to be there talking real estate. They had great speakers. They had David Green. They had Jay Scott, Brandon Turner. They had Scott Trench, Mindy Jensen. Their whole team was there speaking, and they're just give. They have a company like the culture that we're trying to emulate, where they're just trying to give a lot of value to students out there. So it was an honor to be speaking there with Jake. I think we brought the pain there. Didn't have enough time. We spoke for about 30 minutes. We could go for like 3 hours, Jake and I, but it was great overall. We had a lot of great interactions with their students and their community. So I just want to thank them and had a great time. I saw you yesterday. Right? That's always a win for me. So it was a great trip. We had a great time, Josh.
Always a big win with that one. Absolutely. Actually, what I'm excited for as well is today's guest. Actually, today we have Kyle Grimm. So a little bit about Kyle. He's a 25-year-old real estate investor and broker who got started his senior year of high school. Kyle bought a small single-family house that he rehabbed and rented to his first tenant. After collecting that first rent check, he was hooked on the idea of investing and continued to buy fixed and rent out residential real estate. Kyle's portfolio consists of single family, small multifamily, and mobile home parks. After a lot of bumps and bruises, Kyle has realized the power of large multifamily and the economies of scale. He's now shifting his focus from being a lone wolf investing in small properties to taking down large multifamily deals as a team sport. Welcome to the show, Kyle.
Thanks, guys. So good to be here. Truly an honor.
Kyle, so here's what I want to know, man. In high school, as a senior doing a fix and flip, dude, that's incredible. No one does that. Where'd that come from?
Yeah. Oh, I vaguely remember sitting in math class. I was a horrible student in high school. D's got degrees, right? So no, I tried, but I wasn't the best student. And I just remember I loved real estate. My dad was in real estate in his 20s and 30s, and then he sold out all of his properties in his mid-30s. I always told me that was the biggest regret of his life, was selling all those properties out. So I always had that in the back of my mind. And I remember in high school, I look at houses for sale all the time. And I was like, well, I got no money. I got to start, real small. So I would look at the stuff that no one else would buy. So I ended up buying this small single family house. I'm from a Midwest town, so things are super cheap here. I think they're asking like $15,000 for this house. And it was bad. I mean, it was really bad. It should have been bulldozed down. I offered them $5,000 and I ended up buying it. They accepted.
Kyle, I can't even fly my family to New York for $5,000 and you bought a house, huh?
I hear you. I would not advise that to anyone else doing that. I mean, it was really bad in the ghetto and just, kind of a dangerous place, but fixed it up, rented it out. And I remember my first tenant by name, my first resident, I should say. And it was a great experience. I ended up having to evict him. I learned a ton through it, but when I got that first rent check, I was hooked. And it's just, ever since then, I've been doing real estate ever since.
So Josh, there's a recurring theme for members or, people who join the Jake and Gino team, right? There's 3 of them here. So listen to this because it's really funny. The first thing is we are all out there to commit, then figure it out. I mean, how old are you, Kyle?
I'm 25 now.
Okay, so anyone who's older than 25 has no excuses on why they can't do this. Their why is not strong enough. Because if you have a strong enough why, whether you're 25 or you're 45, you're going to figure out how to do it. The second one is everyone who becomes part of the Jake and Gino community and becomes a team member with Jake and Gino has to be a bad student. because I don't think any of us were really good at school, right? Jake was terrible. I was really bad. I think Josh was borderline, right? So Kyle fits the mold. You don't have to be great in school. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do real estate, to love real estate. And I think the third thing is to make it happen. I mean, how many people go out there and buy a home for $5,000? Have problem with the tenants, move the tenants out, and get hooked on that. That's the three. So commit, make it happen, and be a bad student. If you have those three, you want to come be one of the Jake and Gino community, Jake and Gino team, come work with us. That's what you need, right, Josh?
Love it.
Expand on that. Any thoughts?
It's overcoming limiting beliefs, right? Most people, you're saying Kyle's doing it at 25. Kyle was probably 17 in high school making this happen. Holy crap. I was worried about Friday night dates. He's over here buying houses and rehabbing them. So, all right, you get that first check, you realize the power of it. Where did you go from there and how did you make it happen?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a slow process. I feel like I'm 25 now. I've been doing this since 2012. And I feel like I'm just now starting to see that snowball, pick up steam. So I've been living very cheap. And I'm going to be honest, I actually lived with my parents until I was 25. I moved to St. Louis for a while. And I was doing real estate down there, but ended up moving back to my hometown, moved in with my parents. And so I was living super cheap. And I was just able to keep snowballing that rent into, putting more down payments down, and just really just leveraging, as much as I can. So I ended up buying, I owned 4 houses on that same street where I bought that $5,000 house, and I bought all of them for under 20 grand. Now, like I said earlier, I wouldn't recommend that to people necessarily. They're the biggest pains in the butt. I mean, they're horrible to deal with. So I've now started buying, nicer property, B class, these are in probably D class areas, those little single family. So I've really just been trying to scale my portfolio into smaller multifamily, and I just bought a mobile home park. I'm buying another one. And so I've just been really, I guess to go back real quick. So I went to college for 2 years, but it was in a construction program. I thought that maybe I was going to go into some type of construction management. So I did get my associate's degree in construction technologies, which more or less was about 95% of on the job training. So we're actually out on job sites, learning how to build the homes, learning how to, put in the foundations, how to insulate homes, all that stuff. So I have a pretty good knowledge of how building works. And that really helped me as I was, young. I had no money. I used a lot of sweat equity in my properties. I still have my construction trailer with all my tools. So, I mean, I was doing everything from flooring to drywall to, cleaning and all that. But definitely where I'm at now, I'm hovering around a little over 50 units right now. And it's like, I can't do that myself anymore. So I don't even open my construction trailer much anymore. And it's more of, systems, processes, having the right people in place to take care of things for me.
So what's really cool about this, Josh and Kyle, is you went to college, you didn't get a communications degree. You actually got a degree that served you well. So for everyone out there who bashes college, there's a great place for people who go to college because, I mean, the 2 years getting that education, it's a really cool thing to do. And you'll always have that. So when you go into a property, your eyes will go to the drywall or go to the flooring or go to whatever. So what are your thoughts on college and that 2 years of experience that you had?
Oh, I go back and forth. Okay. So the program I was in, I got to say it was kind of a waste because I had been doing construction in high school and then into college just for a local contractor.
Mm-hmm.
I learned 100 times more working for him than I did through school.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it goes both ways. I think it's great if people want to go to college, if their, occupation requires that, they want to be an accountant or anything like that. But I would say if you're wanting to get into real estate, you're young, you're 17, 18 years old, I would say the best way to learn is by jumping in, maybe working with a contractor or even, skipping that step and, getting a mentor, working with a group of guys like you. I think on the job training is 10 times better than, going to school.
So Kyle, would you agree with the term pay to play or seek to serve is probably one of the best ways to get into
absolutely.
real estate?
Yes, absolutely.
So give me another tip of young people to get into real estate. Another way for them to get into it.
Yeah. I think mindset is so key. So like I said, I wasn't the best student and I always kind of told myself that I wasn't very smart and I would compare myself to, guys who are, scoring 30s on their ACT and mine was embarrassingly low. And, so I always had this mindset of I'm not smart enough. I don't really know what to do. I think honestly, Nike says it best. You just got to do it. Just do it. So pull the trigger. I just helped a buddy of mine. He was going through the same thing, just analysis paralysis. I'm like, dude, you just got to buy something. Even if it's not a killer deal, get the first deal done because the snowball will start to turn. So that's my advice. Like, just get out there, make a deal happen. Whether it's, a small duplex or 100 unit, you just got to pull the trigger. And
John, I love that because I wanted to share a story from yesterday's Bigger Pockets, which I think really impacts what you're saying. Scott Trench was on stage with Josh Dorkin. So picture them two on stage. Scott was working for a financial company and he wanted to work for Bigger Pockets. So it was the seek to serve model. He was very persistent. And I think Scott says he didn't know anything about real estate. He didn't know anything about the startup company, but it was really being persistent. And Josh's advice to all entrepreneurs out there and everyone listening to the podcast, you don't hire based just on a resume. You want to hire based on what the person is telling you on the other side. Is he passionate? Is he willing to go that extra mile? Is he willing to work with the team? Is he willing to, I learned a new word this weekend, an intropreneur. So Josh, an intropreneur is somebody who you hire, who you give tasks to, and they take it on and they become that entrepreneur for the company and they build systems and they build models and they help the company. And it appeared that Scott Trench is that perfect fit for what he did for Bigger Pockets, because now all of a sudden they've created another podcast and he's creating it out. So everyone out there who's young, who wants to get into it and they don't have the money to invest in their education, they will get it. And trust me, once you get that money, you're going to be so hungry. You're going to want to continue to invest in your education, because I haven't stopped. And I've actually put the pedal to the metal as far as educating myself. But go out there and have the mindset of, how can I help people who are doing it? How can I bring value to them? And what can I do to help build them? And along the way, that's where your education comes. You're getting paid to do it, and you're surrounded in an amazing atmosphere. Does that make sense, Kyle?
oh yeah, absolutely.
So what would you add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like you said earlier, seeking to serve, find guys that, I'm only 25 and I have younger guys coming to me. And I think the question you got to ask yourself is, how can you add value to that person? Because everyone and their mom's going to be calling you saying, hey, can you give me this advice or help me get started or sit down to coffee? But I think you need to ask, these people need to ask those who have experience, like, how can I help them? So really find a way that you can add value to those people.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What's your next step in multifamily now? What are you looking to do?
Yeah, so I'm kind of peeling off the lower layer of my portfolio. I'm trying to kind of just really scale back on the small stuff and go large. And so anyways, I got married a little over 3 months ago now. And the wife and I, she's still in school. And we actually just committed to moving down to Knoxville, and we're going to start, scaling up, let's say that, and working with the big boys. So we're super excited about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that move to Knoxville. So what specifically has you there, right? Why make the move? What value do you see with surrounding yourself with those that are further in the path? Let's talk about that lone wolf versus having like-minded individuals and being a part of a community and learning from those that are further ahead. Why make that leap?
Yeah. I think I was talking to Dylan McGow actually a couple of weeks ago, and he said something about, surround yourself with people who will make you feel uncomfortable, who are, doing so much more than you. And really, I still have some of those limiting beliefs about myself, like, oh, maybe I'm not smart enough. And so looking around in the space of the multifamily guys who are killing it, I see you guys. And I've always looked, you guys have been doing podcasts for, I don't know how many years now, but you guys have always been experts in your space in my mind. And so, to me, I'm like, okay, how can I learn from the best? And so that, that is ultimately what I'm doing. I feel super uncomfortable when I'm, around some of these guys who are just, you got the Dylan Marmas of the world who are, 25 and sitting behind the driver's seat of how many millions of dollars of real estate. But no, I just think that surrounding yourself with those people who are pushing you, I think that is so key.
Let's take a quick break to listen from our sponsors.
Gino, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. I know that you've been hard at work helping Jake and Gino students do just that using our framework. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
Guys, we've been hard at work growing our community of like-minded investors, and the results of our members has been nothing short of incredible. We're looking to grow this amazing group. What we're looking for is those who want to follow our proprietary framework that we've created. Buy right, manage right, and finance right. Leverage our connections, education, and mentorship as ways to take your business to the next level.
So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become a part of our amazing community, apply to work with us at jakeandgino.com/apply.
Okay, Kyle, I want to touch on that because I firmly believe that you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and a rising tide raises all ships. So I definitely agree with that one. And I didn't really realize it until I've been on this journey, right? Surrounding myself with guys like this until I go home and surround myself with my peers from high school and what they think is doing well and their average. They're happy with a $70,000, $80,000 a year job. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's the pinnacle. They've peaked at their life, right? They have no further goals. They're not saving that money and investing. That's what they're living on. And there really is no further vision. And then when you realize it, coming back with guys like this, where it's seeking to serve, putting in the work to make things happen. Like you said, listen, I've been living very frugal for 7 years to reinvest that money, to have it go work for me, come back with more money rather than blowing it as a consumer. And when you're able to put in that discipline and see that on the other side, it's worth the results, I think it's 100% worth it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. I want to dive into some short answer questions here. What's your best habit for success?
Okay, so I think my best habit is probably waking up early. I'm such a mindset guy. I like getting my mind right in the morning. So I read a book by Hal Elrod, and it's actually I'll probably mention that book later. It's called Miracle Morning, and it's all about waking up early and getting your day going by doing some routines. So, habits are huge for me. I wake up, actually the wife and I just started waking up an hour earlier. So I'm waking up at 4 a.m. I get up, I pray, I read the Bible, I write my goals, I go over my objectives for the day. So I have this whole binder that I go through that really helps me get my mind clear. It's that quiet space before the day, before your phone starts ringing and all that. So I think my best habit is definitely waking up early and just getting that clarity before chaos starts.
Love it. All right. So clearly Miracle Morning is your favorite book. Touch on that one a little bit more. Why does it resonate with you so much? When did you read it? How many times have you read it?
Yeah. As far as how many times, I have the actual physical copy. That's how I did it first, but now I have it on my phone. So when I'm on road trips, I'll, re-listen to it. I probably listen to it maybe, 7-10 times, something like that. But it is, it's just all about, there's an acronym. It's called SAVERS. So it's silence, affirmations, visualize, exercise. Let's see, what's the other one? Reading, and then scribing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I kind of shaped it myself and changed a couple things. I won't go through that now, but it's more or less the same thing. So find out what works for you, what you need in the morning, and just stick to it. Do it every single day. So that book has been huge for me.
Love it. Gino, there's been some really powerful lessons on this one. Clearly going from Kyle buying a single family home and now 7 years later owning 50 units. What golden nuggets were you able to shake out of this one?
There's a lot in this, Josh. The first thing is Kyle is not a dig jammer. Josh, what's a dig jammer again?
Damn, I'm good. Just ask me.
He can be, because at 25 years old, he's got more success than most people in their 40s and 50s. But I think Kyle understands that it's just the beginning. There's a lot of growth, and I wish I was a little bit younger, because I can see right now, the more that I educate myself, the better I get at anything. And it's all about surrounding yourself with people who are better than you, whether I'm going through speaker training, whether I'm going through scaling up a company. I've never done those things before, so I need help with that, and I'm investing in my education, and I will always have it. And it's the same way when somebody's trying to buy a multifamily property. If they've never done it before, you can absolutely do it by yourself. But I will tell you from experience, it's going to cost you more money. It's going to take you a lot longer. And if you make a mistake, you may not be able to recover unless you're a pig-headed person like me and has a big, strong enough why. You'll end up eventually figuring out, but why should you buy a deal like me and have a deal for 10 years and suffer for 10 years when you don't need to do that, when all you really need to do is go out, surround yourself, and learn those those really big lessons in real estate. I wish somebody had taught me the 3 pillars of real estate: the market cycle, the debt, and the exit strategy. If someone had taught me that when I first started, I wouldn't have bought the deal. It was the wrong time in the market cycle, and it was the wrong exit strategy. So I wish I had learned that. So I think what Kyle is doing is fantastic. Some of his attributes that I love, let me repeat them again: commit, make it happen. And if you're a bad student, that's a check for the Jake and Gino community, right, Josh?
You'll figure it out on the way down.
Well,
Love
yeah.
it.
And I think, you know, when you're young and you're just enjoying what you're doing and you love what you're doing and you're committing yourself to growth, right? That's the important thing. When you commit to growth and not being stagnant, you're not looking at a paycheck. You're not looking at how much to make, because that money is the cause. It's not it's the cause. It's not money's not the cause for you. I'm sorry. It's the result for you. And that's what it ends up being. And it's amazing that you're at such a young age, you're not really focusing on the money because you know it will come. And I think most people in their 20s, if they can focus on something that they really love to do and become really skilled and become, I hate using that word expert, because we're never truly experts because we're constantly learning, but somebody who can master that skill, when you master the skill, all of a sudden in your 30s and your 40s, you're going to make a ton of money doing that. And you're going to love what you're doing, and you're going to be empowered. You're going to be able to say to yourself, I can walk away from it, but you're going to be doing so much, you're going to love it. So I think those are my big takeaways. Josh, what do you got for me?
You know, I think the biggest thing here is it's a marathon, not a sprint. If you hear and listen to Kyle's story, what he really says is it took 7 years and it felt slow in the beginning, and there was a lot of discipline and dedication to make it happen. But if you really take the grand scheme of things, like Gino, you say all the time, it takes 4 years to go to college. The time is going to pass anyways, and the juice is well worth the squeeze. So commit, make it happen, have that strong enough why to push you through the hard times, and surrounded by the right people to keep you going when times get tough, and just make it happen.
Kyle, how can the listeners get a hold of you?
I'm kind of addicted to Instagram, so it's probably the best place to go. It's my handle's _Kyle Grimm, and Grimm has 2 M's. So that's probably the best place, or find me on Facebook. Yep. Happy to talk to you guys.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank Kyle for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing his movers and shakers story. Guys, if you want to be the next movers and shakers guest, email us, josh@jakeandgino.com. Now, if you love the show, please leave us a review. And until next time, make it a movers and shakers week. See you, everyone.
Thanks, Kyle. Take care, Josh.